You're listening to Smarter Marketing in 10 from Go Fish Digital. Today we're walking through how Barracuda actually works with Kelvin Nichols, our SVP of Product. I'm Kimberly Anderson, our Director of Content here at Go Fish Digital. So Kelvin, what's going wrong or getting harder right now? What was the impetus for Barracuda?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I would say overall, everyone is really just sitting on a mountain of data, right? And going through that data to pull out the insights and create those action steps takes a lot of time, right? That's always been the case. There's been things that helped that move along, but that is a thing that's growing. Like people have more and more data now than they have had historically. And so finding new solutions to that's really important. And we have folks that internally or client-wise have reports that tell them what happened, but not necessarily what to change. So you're missing insight elements. You have decisions that are being made well after that reporting even hits them. And so the loop of iteration when it comes to what to do next is often pretty delayed, and delays cost money, clearly. And so really trying to address those issues. And then when it comes to the data too, it's a little bit more fractured. You have all these groups with their moats of data. You have signals that are spread across multiple data sources. It's getting very convoluted very quickly.
Absolutely. As a marketer, I definitely feel that. Why is this happening more now than ever?
Like I said, there's a lot more services that exist for consumers for touch points, right? So you have traditional search, you have social search now, you have AI answers for the LLMs, you have your website analytics. I could go on. That's not even including the backend data that exists for our clients, right? And so all of that data is growing and essentially spiraling out into all these different areas. And so we see search being disrupted with those AI elements, that social search, like I talked about. That content is being consumed without even visiting a landing page when you look at the AI elements of it. And so it's really changing the reporting structure on top of all the data sources that are already in there. And so you have these new data sources coming in, you have all these changes that are happening, and you have a lot of pressure to act quickly to turn around older performance metrics, as a lot of folks were looking at website visits and that sort of metric to understand how the business is performing. And these drastic shifts are really making people think differently.
I know you just gave some examples of what the problem is. Can you walk us through an example of how Barracuda might solve that problem?
Sure. So Barracuda really helps to surface where that demand is shifting specifically, right? Where the competitors are maybe gaining some ground, where your coverage is missing, specifically also where bot and LLM traffic is doing on your website, where it's coming from. There's an interesting fact I heard recently that 51% of traffic to websites is actually bot traffic now. And so, and growing, I should add. So the amount of traffic that's going in there from these and others is really important. And we need to think about, how do we create marketing plans that address this new world that we're living in?
Do you have an understanding as to why there's such an increase in bot traffic?
The LLMs in particular have certainly increased a lot of it. You already had all these site crawls that were happening, and now you have LLM-based traffic that's doing crawls as necessary or using it as another source. But then on top of that, you have people using LLMs to build tools that then also crawl the sites. And so you're sort of compounding into each other. That is creating a world where just the majority of your traffic is going to be not a human, sadly. I wish it wasn't, but that is the truth.
That's tough, especially for marketers and brands, right? Can you break this into three things people should understand now?
Number one, you got to connect the signals, right? You got to know the search results, what's showing up in those, what's paid, what's AI, organic. You got to have that visibility in one place, because you can't really manage things that you aren't measuring. And so that's a good starting point. It also helps you if you're dealing with board members or C-suite, or trying to really explain what's happening and why performance is down. So it's a good starting point for it. After that, you'll start to understand from those changes, because you'll have in the data, what's happening to you. And that'll give you a little bit more of a clear direction around the ties that they have to your performance and potentially what to do about it. And then really gets into number three here, which is it helps you act earlier, right? So using Barracuda, our teams leverage the tools that we have that provides these visibilities, that provides these action plans, so that they can act on things before rankings start to drop, or as they start to drop, right? Rather than reacting weeks, months later, right? And so you really want to get ahead of these things before competition takes more share or budget spend is being thrown out. I see a lot of clients that through the losses on the earned side of the house, they end up paying more on paid to compensate for the goals that they have for their year or quarter.
Yeah. And that's a great point, to get ahead of this before your competitors do, because their success really compounds. So if someone wanted to act on this week, where should they start? It sounds like you started to introduce us to some concepts.
pretty simply, look at your organic data. It's probably dropping. Look at your bot traffic to site. It's probably increasing. Also, try to slice it up to understand what bots. That'll give you a little bit more of an understanding what's changing over time. And then you need to work with somebody to create action plans that understand the implications of both of those and what you could do with your content, your creative, your website, your paid in order to drive better outcomes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Calvin. This was incredibly informative and super helpful. That's today's Smarter Marketing in 10. If this was useful to you, share it with someone on your team. Thanks, Calvin.
Thanks.